I don't even think I can call it to order without a quorum, right? So
We'll just be on the safe side.
quasi will start the meeting. We'll call it
Yes.
to order. All right. And so we can, given that we don't have a quorum, well, we've got no members of the public. We've got no presentations. We don't have a quorum, so we don't need to vote on the meeting minutes. So that takes us to item E1, the anti-idling status update. Garrett, do you happen to know anything?
Last month we had talked about the location of the schools. I think Sam was working on that. And then the only hiccup being the right of way in front of Union School. That's where those signs would go. I talked to Russ. He said as long as they are on breakaway signs, which is the standard, or posts, I should say, he had no problem with it. I think Sam said Westwoods or Noah Wallace wanted to put them in the road as well, but hadn't gotten anywhere with that yet, and no decision. Then I talked to him a week or two ago, I think. Was the last time we touched base about it. So he's working with the principals on it. I think Kate was working to get printing quotes for the signs.
Yeah, we talked about it. We were talking about land trust stuff yesterday, so we talked briefly about green efforts, but we didn't really talk. She said something about Tara's doing something, and then we went on a different tangent. So
yeah, I think Tara's working on it, not as much. I think because now the whatever group of students is now the next grade up. So
so just for clarification, I know we're trying to put up signs, and that's in the works. Is it against the law to idle?
Yes.
So then maybe they should have a police officer on occasion walk over to Union School and tell the 10 people who are lined up, all idling, that they need to turn their engines off. I happened to walk my dog by there the other day, and they were all the way down past the school, past the Charles House building.
Wow.
And it wasn't.
Yeah, I think you can either punish people or you can try to convince them to do the right thing. And I think the signs are sort of trying to convince people to do the right thing for the right reasons.
Yes, I think that's correct. And I think we should keep going with that. But I also think that people need to know that what they're doing isn't legal.
What about, so we had talked, John, I agree, education, I agree that people need to know. I don't know. I've asked the police to do, when I was on council, I'd asked police to do stuff. They weren't always willing to. So with that in mind, I wonder if we had talked before about putting it in the Friday folder. And at the time, and this was in the fall when there were lots of issues with the buses and nobody wanted to put anything in the Friday folder that could make parents further upset about the process. I will say, although I don't think busing is going perfectly, I have not heard as many complaints about busing lately. Is it worth exploring adding it to the Friday folder again? To kind of do both, get something out there that parents may read, and
it wouldn't hurt, and it certainly wouldn't be a big effort. But it's obvious that the parents either know what the law is and they want to not obey it, or else more likely they don't know.
Yeah.
Right. So it probably be best to have the signs up for a little while first, and then.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know when we're getting them printed and installed. I'm assuming it'll probably be later in the school year at this point. But at least have it, get the signs installed, run through the first half of the year with the signs up, and then if it's still an issue, I mean, the only problem being this winter's been mild, next winter could be really bad, and you're allowed to idle if it's below 20, I believe. Is it? I think that's
maybe. Yeah, I don't remember what the cutoff is.
Right. So just something to keep in mind, but we can talk about it once we have the signs.
That's true. Putting something in the Friday folder and say mid to late April when it's not hot and humid yet.
Right.
Not super cold. Oh, All right. But yeah, I wonder, I think I like that. I mean, putting signs up first and then Friday folder, and then maybe the police presence is the third step if people aren't paying attention. But, you know,
Because I think that was part of it with the students at Westwoods was they were out there monitoring how many people were idling
mhm.
as part of this.
Okay.
All right.
All right. If there's nothing else on anti-idling, you got a simple recycling update for us, Garrett. I see a spreadsheet.
I do. I think the last time update was maybe September. October was 1,200 pounds. November was 840 pounds, and then December jumped way up to 2,802 pounds, bringing our grand total to just over 62 tons, or 62 and a half tons, I should say, of textiles recycling since we started in December of 2019. So
That's
Nice.
again, it seems like it's less and less every year, but
mhm.
I mean, that probably just means people cleared out originally and then they just don't have as much to get rid of.
Right. You know, I contributed to December's total. I got so fed up with stuff that I had planned to do something with that I scheduled a pickup, and I got to hear them all. I got to hear the people who came mumble about how much stuff I'd put up my front step, but they took it off. So, all right. But that's still a good number. So it's better that it be going to simple recycling than into the landfill or
Yes,
incinerators or whatever else. So, and it doesn't cost the town anything. So,
correct.
all right.
Hopefully it saves us money on the tipping fees.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Composting discussion.
I know Tara is working with Sam King from Blue Earth, who gave us the presentation last year,
Okay.
to set it up. Again, I had talked to Sam Kilpatrick a couple weeks ago about this. So they're working to set it up. It's not free. There's obviously a cost. So that Sam will work that out, whether that cost can be covered by the school budget. There is some upfront costs for setup of the equipment, of the station, the bins, and things like that. And I believe Sam gave me a number. I don't remember off the top of my head. But that could be an expenditure on behalf of the Green Efforts Committee to help set it up. We have the funds available to do something like that. So obviously, if we had a better idea, it probably won't be this school year. It'll probably be starting it the next school year. Just time, it takes a while to get everything set up and everything like that. It's probably not the best to start in May to start, but as long we did discuss that, as long as Blue Earth can provide us some metrics of how much they're collecting in terms of weight, which I'm assuming they would be able to do, then we'd probably be able to figure out if it's actually saving on collections, because I think Westwoods the dumpster gets collected 3 times a week. And if they're composting their food, where now it's only 2 times a week, well, that cost can now just be transferred to the composting instead of just going into the trash.
Right.
So at least that, the school would pay for it in that, possibly pay for it in that aspect.
Yeah, we just looked at our part of what we talked about in Board of Ed budget was we did discuss the increasing waste fees and looking at ways to decrease that, and composting is one potential way to do it, or at least, and maybe they'll offset each other, even if it's not savings. So
right, breaking even would be perfect. I believe might have to check with the state representative. I believe Mike D'Amico and
hey, it's Sam.
Rick Lopes are both on the environment committee. And I know last night at the town council meeting, Mike D'Amico mentioned that there was some legislation regarding waste management. There's a bill for human composting.
Yes, I saw that.
But he didn't get into any detail of the waste management aspect. So maybe I can reach out to him and see what the status is on those and just get some more information from him and
Okay.
Rick. 'Cause I think Rick is the chair of the environment committee, if I remember correctly.
Oh, he is now?
I believe so.
That's news to me. I
so
usually
there-
shares.
So they're, well, I believe that's what he said last night. So I can check with them and see if they can provide any information that I can, just add it as a little addendum.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
I will, I thought there'd be more people on tonight, but I'll send a link. So the Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments, so the state's broken out into councils of governments for some administration purposes. Farmington is part of the Capital Region Council of Governments. It's the largest. Anyway, there's Naugatuck Valley. They did a GIS story map, which is kind of like a scrolling slideshow with information about the waste crisis in Connecticut currently.
Mhm.
So, and it's pretty interesting, and I'll share it with everyone when I set up the minutes
Okay.
tomorrow or Friday. That
Cool.
talks about the need for composting, and it breaks into the food waste aspect as well.
Any movement on residential composting?
I'm working on it. I'm trying to get the electric vehicle charger done first, just because there's grant funding available for that. I know the town manager wants residential collection of compost. I think it was Kate or maybe it was you, Stacey, that showed the article about the deep funding that was awarded to a number of towns. So I'm keeping an eye on those towns as well, because some of them are doing where you have to pick up specific bags and you leave that bag out with your trash weekly, and then it gets collected separately, as opposed to contract with someone like Blue Earth, which might just be the option. What we do now, just because Farmington doesn't have anywhere to put anything, or any facility to compost that. And then most of that, the residential waste that's collected is sent to Southington because they have the anaerobic digester to create the biogas and soil from that.
We had, with the presentation over a year ago, I think as part of brainstorming, we had wondered whether the current branch, leaf compost, yard compost station, if there was room there to expand for a residential food collection. Did that ever get looked at? Do you know, Garrett?
I'm not sure in detail. I think Shannon probably talked to Russ about it. And I think the problem there is that food compost needs to be more closely monitored for temperature and tested on a regular basis for bacteria and things like that. That regular leaf compost does not, because the leaves kind of just, I'm not saying they break down on their own, but it's a lot
Okay.
less simpler. You just do the windrows much less less frequently.
Right.
And I know there are certain towns that have created their own facilities to compost waste, where it's where their air is pumped through the system to speed up the compost, and then they bag and sell the soil. But again, we don't have necessarily a transfer station that other towns have that would be able to fit that. And there's also staffing and everything like that. So I don't think we'd be looking at doing it locally for those reasons.
I don't think we should try to reinvent the wheel. I mean, Blue Earth has the whole infrastructure set up, and costs are rising for tipping fees. And so it seems like the time is right to add this to our weekly or bi-weekly collections.
Yeah, it was Blue Earth that had suggested they could also do something more centrally located if that's what the town wanted. So I know that that there was heavy discussion last night about what's going to happen with the budget in light of the reval. So I'm just trying to
Mhm.
think about where the costs are. Sam, I think as you were getting on, we were talking about the composting for the schools, and that I think you or someone was going to evaluate like what those costs were for setting it up at school.
So yeah, sorry, I was in a Zoom nightmare of passwords that I could not remember.
Yes.
But I'm on now. So yeah, I met with Tara Vasquez after all the meetings with Blue Earth. It's $400. I think $400. Is it a month? For the fees for them to pick up. So it doesn't mean there couldn't be savings in the future, but the thing right now is that we're paying per pickup,
Mhm.
and we've already reduced at all our buildings to 3 times per week. So where we would be able to save would actually be if we could reduce to 2 pickups a week as opposed to the 3. So it
Okay.
is a cost add for us at this point, but I still think it makes sense to pilot Westwoods because that it doesn't mean that won't change in the future, and
Mhm.
also it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
So we're looking now. So that was the cost for the pickup, and then I know Tara's looking into some different compost stations, like Slim Jim containers. So we were looking for the locations that would work in the CAF, and we're trying to find something mobile that we can roll out to a spot as students are bringing trays over to the station. So I don't think we've narrowed in on exactly what that is, but we'll be looking at those costs as well on top of it. I think that's really about it. The bags we're already purchasing anyway.
Sam, when you presented for the Board of Ed budget and the increase, the waste line item on the budget, I don't remember if we talked about this or not. Did that include the additional 400 for compost pickup, or is it an additional on top of that?
So, well, the $400, there's enough in that budget to be able to cover it.
Great.
Because we reduced pickups at Irving Robbins and
Okay.
the high school. So the bid that went out, the costs associated with that, we reduced for the pickups from the bid amount, and then also I left in enough to be able to cover the compost for Westwoods.
Great, thank you. All right. Let's see. So anything else on composting? Was there anything else on residential composting? I didn't mean to cut that
No,
off.
no, that was it for right now.
All right, then our next item, littering signs, adopt a road signs.
I think that was something Talia is looking into. So, and she's not here this evening, so we can skip over that.
All right. Townwide cleanup, Stacy.
I wrote a blurb for the newsletter, but I didn't do the poster because it was it's too early. We don't have the heaviest haul prizes and stuff, so that didn't go out with the newsletter. We just I asked Kate if by any chance had 22 stickers, because now we've been using the line, or whatever the date is, 23rd, whatever the date is.
Yeah, 22nd.
We've been doing this so long, we've been using the signs probably more than 7 years, and it's always the same week. So I was like, maybe we already have stickers with that date, but she didn't respond. So I was gonna ask her, and if we don't, then we just need new stickers. So there's that, but we can't vote on it. And then we talked about maybe getting lawn signs for the rummage sale, but they're expensive. I don't know. That's all.
So the date has been set for the 22nd. The hazardous waste will not be the same day. It will be in March, because there's some issue with the contract. because the town of Farmington does not administer the contract, Simsbury does, and we do it in collaboration with Avon and Canton and Simsbury, because there's multiple collections held throughout the year in the town. So Farmington's collection for hazardous waste will be in March, but the townwide cleanup will be Earth Day. So there'll be separate days this year.
It'll be interesting to see if we get more participation or we have a whole bunch of people showing up with hazardous waste at the high school.
We'll have to make sure everyone's aware that you cannot collect cans of paint and
Right.
batteries.
Yes.
Right.
So when you say hazardous waste, I'm assuming you're including the electronic and
Yes.
also the shredding?
Yes, yeah. I'll double check with Shannon about the shredding date. I believe it's the same day as the household hazardous waste collection. That's all done as one thing. Shredding is, I believe it's part of our stormwater permit requirements. If I remember correctly, it's not.
That would
necessarily-
sound right, yeah.
Yeah. It fits, so she's the one that's in charge of our stormwater permit. So she normally plans that one, but I believe the shredding is coinciding with household hazardous waste, not the townwide cleanup, but I'll double check that.
Stacy, on the lawn signs. I don't know that individual, like, I like the idea of giving it a little more advertising push for people to go, because we had people there with tables last year. But it'd be nice if we could get more people more consumers there. I wonder if, from a sign perspective, even if just maybe having 5 to 10 at strategic intersections in town
Yeah.
so instead of, not necessarily, certainly not my house, because I live, only the people that go by me are the folks going to New Horizon, to New Horizon. But I would guess that there are areas, in the corner of Meadow and Route 10 and maybe, somewhere along Route 4 to get at least a little more knowledge of it.
Yeah.
Because I bet, because there are people that love garage sales and they spend their Saturday just going from tag sale to tag sale.
Yeah.
So if they know that's there, we may get more of the tag sale people to show up.
Yeah. Just about whether we want to spend money.
Yeah.
Could also advertise through the on the Explore Farmington page,
Mhm.
with Rose and Amanda in the town manager's office.
Yeah, the
Check.
folks who are into tag sales, are they checking out the Explore Farmington page?
No, but I would hope that people share it to the Farmington pages, and
I would hope.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it wouldn't be that hard for someone to join one of the Connecticut tag sale groups and just share the post.
Yeah, but we should probably have something up.
Yes.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Anything else on cleanup day?
There's
Not
one
yet.
thing on cleanup day, I'm not sure if it's too late to get this organized. But the Lions Club collects bottles and cans for deposit, and they get the deposit money and put those to good work. And if there was be some way for us to tell our trash collectors, the people who go out there, if they could keep their bottles and cans separate from the other trash, and we could make a connection to the Lions Club to get those bottles and cans to them.
Well,
And
we
I'm not sure-
do have a recycling bin at all of the sites, and it never has anything in it. Like, we ask people to separate recyclables already, and it doesn't happen. Unfortunately.
Again, so I've been collecting for a good number of years now, and I don't recall anybody ever asking me to separate my bottles and cans from trash.
Interesting.
And it's, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, and it might be possible to connect with the Lions Club so that they get their members out collecting bottles and cans on Farmington Cleanup Day. And if they could be responsible for coming to our sites, picking up trash and bringing it back to the Lions Club. Again, I'm not sure if it's too late to get that organized for this year.
Or would we just tell people that they can bring their bottles and cans to the site if the Lions Club wants to sit at the tables and collect them?
That would be too. You could do that too. I don't know if anybody's connected to the Lions Club. But I know that they do collect many bottles and cans.
Do you want to be the person who reaches out?
Sure.
Great. I did ask Talia if she wanted to be like my right-hand person for this, and she said she didn't have a lot of time. So
So I can certainly connect to the Lions Club, but what I think is if we, put in a one sentence on our flyer that says, if you're bringing bottles and cans separate from the trash, we will get those connected to the Lions Club. Just to give people a nudge to do that.
but before we put that on the sign, it would be great if we could get someone from the someone from the Lions Club to commit to being at the table that day to run that part of it.
So I'm not sure how quickly all this would be organized, but if we're not connected to the Lions Club, I'd volunteer to take all those bottles and cans over to the Lions Club.
Great.
And just Stacy, quickly while we're on the subject. So currently all the cleanup supplies are in Kate's basement. And so I had talked with her because obviously we're trying to get it somewhere town. And what we're going to do is she'll keep everything at her house until cleanup day. We'll disperse everything for cleanup day, and then we'll recollect everything at town hall. Shannon and I will coordinate to have someone there to open up our office, and we'll just put everything in our office for now.
Okay.
And then we'll figure out where to store it afterwards. But just so everyone's aware.
Great.
I do know, Stacy, if you still need someone to help, that Kate is more than willing to help out.
Yeah, I think that this committee, this is our main thing that we do as a committee. It's like our primary thing that the volunteers do. Like, let's be honest, Garrett does all the other stuff.
Thank you.
So why are we sitting here every month for an hour if we're not all going to be all hands on deck for this one big thing? And it shouldn't have been Kate all those years. And I don't want to be doing this by myself in 20 years. So it really needs to be. And listen, you guys are the ones who are here. So I don't even know why I'm saying it to you two, because you're here, right? But if you don't have time to be on the committee and volunteer to do stuff, don't be on, I don't know. I'm crappy. Sorry. I don't have time. Who has time? I make the time, right? But ideally, it should be one person runs it, the other person learns, and then the next year that person runs it and somebody else learns, and you can cycle back in and everyone could help. But it shouldn't be the same person year after year.
I agree with you. I'm just, throwing it out there. I know why you were asking, Talia. So
yeah.
All right.
I'm hungry. I didn't eat.
I hear you there. I am drinking tea because of my cold, but I need to eat too. All right. Anything else on cleanup day? Going once, going twice. All right. EV charger status update.
I'm waiting on 2 quotes from 2 companies because I had to get 3 quotes total. I'm going to reach out to them tomorrow because I haven't heard anything since I met with them between our last 2 meetings. Again, same when I had talked about the potential for chargers at the school, just as kind of an FYI for everyone, so that it looks like we're trying to include at least the infrastructure for chargers as part of the school project. Installing the chargers later, but at least the conduit will be there, and it's just pulling the wire at that point
Okay.
to install them. And I'll tell you the same thing the same conversation I have with all these electric vehicle charger contractors is they ask me what charger I want, and I say, I don't know, you're the charger company. So we'll figure, I mean, the goal would be to have all the town facilities have the same charger. So at least way it's the same network and everything like that. And that way, if anything goes wrong, one of our guys can learn to fix things if need be. But we'd have to decide on what brand first and then go from there.
Yeah, that makes sense to use the same one across town.
Yes.
I also, I like that we're trying to get the infrastructure at the high school, because it's only a matter of time before you have high school students with their EVs driving to school and parking all day.
Right. And town staff and
Yeah.
Board of Ed staff and with the new high school, you'll have there's still the football field up there. And the tennis courts and everything like that. So people are going to use them. I've seen enough Teslas pulling out of Farmington High School.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yep. Good for them. All right. So we'll hold tight then. I hope good luck on the last two. And the miniature bottle return fee.
Yes. So Stacy and Kay had emailed me just asking about this. I think there was an article, South Windsor, Granby, Glastonbury, I don't remember, about the mini bottle collection fee that towns are given. So the town started collecting the fee in last year. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read well. And we get 5 cents for each bottle sold in town. Between October 21 and March 22, which was 6 months, we collected a little over $8,000 in fees. Therefore, estimating that we'll collect $16,400 a year, and that is going towards either refurbishment or replacement of the street sweeper for the town's capital budgets. That's where those funds are currently allocated. Help keep the streets clean.
So I think this may be too late. But collecting a deposit on the little small bottles and bringing that money and doling that out to the towns who aren't using that money to pick up bottles is sort of goes against the whole reason why there's bottle deposits.
So
Bottle
these aren't
deposits.
actually deposits.
I understand that there are a fee,
And-
but if you had a deposit like you have on beer cans or soda bottles on these little nippers, then there might be people who are like 14 years old who go out and pick them up. And they
This is
pick up.
state legislation though, so
Yeah,
it's
this
not,
is how the
No.
and the issue is the recycling for the small nips is very expensive and doesn't work with the current recycling system for the larger bottles. So it's a technology issue too.
Well, I'm not sure how well the recycling is going to be working with the big bottles.
Yeah.
Which now have a deposit on them.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
you buy a gallon of iced tea, you pay a $5 deposit on that. And they don't have any facilities to bring back iced tea gallons.
Hmm.
But the
Yeah.
idea of putting bottle deposits down started out in Washington State, and it was about cleaning up the environment. It wasn't about recycling. It was about trash pickup.
Right. So,
And
sorry, John.
no problem. I was just saying that what they've done with these nippers doesn't help anything. And when I go out in April to pick up trash, I'm going to pick up 100, 200 of these.
Yeah.
And the town's not going to pay anybody for that.
Yeah, the plus side is that the legislation does require the town to use the funds towards environmental and equipment that helps with to comply with their MS4, their sewer stormwater sewer permit, but I hear you. This isn't going to impact the individual in any way, shape or form.
The town
It's
should
for
take that
people with
money and pay some
alcohol
high school
problem.
kids. The town should take that money and pay some high school kids to go out and pick it up.
Did you know Fireball has
Oh, the
Fireball
town
Nips
council
have
that-
no whiskey?
John, they're the ones that, what, Stacy?
Fireball Nips have no actual whiskey in them. It's
I know,
malt.
I saw that.
No,
Someone,
it's the ones that, if it says cinnamon whiskey, it has whiskey. If it says cinnamon, it does not have whiskey.
Oh, good to know.
yeah, if you buy it at the package store, it should have whiskey. If you buy it at the gas station, it should not.
Oh, because they can't sell liquor?
Yes, that's why they did it.
Learn something new every day.
There's an NPR, The Indicator, a 10-15-minute podcast. They covered this. So I got my 15 minutes of education about Fireball.
I love Fireball.
So, all right. Anything else? Any new business? Anything not on here?
No, just that story map about the list prices that I'll share with everyone.
Okay.
So when the street cleaner is already purchased, boring, will we get that money someday, this committee?
I tried.
I do not know. I know. So as Patty said, it's supposed to go towards our MS4 requirements, and there's water testing that needs to be done as part of that. There's a lot of costs involved in that, including repair and report every year. So I'm assuming that some of that money might be different once the street sweeper is purchased. Those fees will probably go towards that.
I don't know if it can. I think it has to be something innovative, something new so the street sweeper they can do because they already have one and it's an upgrade or something.
Right.
I don't think they can use it towards regulatory requirements. So the
I'm
water
wrong.
testing is a regulatory requirement. I think they have to use it towards something above and beyond. But I raised it with Erica and about whether or not I said it should come to Green Efforts. I raised it with Erica. I raised it with, I think I mentioned it to Shannon. It's it's town council's prerogative for how
Right.
it goes.
Okay.
So yeah.
We'll keep our eyes on it.
Yeah. Ask Johnny. Johnny, how you want to handle this?
When he comes back.
Yep.
All right. I don't have anything else. Just
All right then. Well, thank you, everyone.
thank you, everyone.
No
All right,
motion.
take
to
care.
adjourn. All righty.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Night. Bye-bye.
Right.